we entertain the people?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you send it to the chat? To the college one?
Open that now.
Don't say the college. Okay, I'll be right back. Entertain them.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm here. I feel like I never get to properly introduce myself. Victor, co-host of the BBC podcast, and I am always so happy to be here. It's probably one of my favorite things to do on Fridays. I normally don't have plans on the weekends, so this really makes up for what's happening in life.
Wait, what happened?
Nothing. I feel like I always have one song stuck in my head at least when we start these podcasts. That's okay. We all gay.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on.
Ironic line was.
One more thing.
I'm not gay.
One more thing.
I'll entertain more.
One more thing that I need before we can. I forgot to.
I am going to college in the fall, and I am terrified. I'm just so scared of college.
Wrong button. Hold up. I'm dropping my stuff. That was funny.
Drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. When the pimp's in the crib, ma, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot, drop it like it's hot. Thank you.
I need to stop clicking buttons.
Just stop, just unclick, Control Z that click.
Did you send it to them?
Who?
The group chat.
The Snapchat group chat?
Yes.
I did like back at 8:30. Cause they were talking about like a podcast for the group, and I was like, oh yeah, me and you do this on Friday nights.
Yeah. And I'm gonna give it one more minute, and then I'm gonna start. Did you send it to your people?
My Discord, yes. I'm on top of this. Don't worry. You know what I hate? When my okay, so you know how like my tattoo looks normal like this, right? When it's like face, then when I'm just holding it like this, it looks so sideways. That's like because your arm doesn't turn all the way, like, you know what I mean? I think there would be. But do you want to know something interesting? HORROR. You want to know something great that my psych teacher's making my class do? So, she gave us these clickers, right? And every time we have a negative thought, we're supposed to click them. I got this at 8 a.m., right? Guess how many clicks are on it 13 hours later? Just take a shot in the dark.
Like 15?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna start. You ready?
I'm 37.
Oh, damn.
They're gonna call the school counselor on me.
Oh. Hi! So, don't choke.
Choke me like you hate me.
So, today we are doing something pretty cool. Okay, guys?
We didn't even do our intro.
Oh, yeah!
You were just about to nosedive into it without our intro that we, made up.
Yeah! Oh my god, okay. Duh. Oh my god. I'm, so excited for this, guys. I'm so excited. Okay.
We're both so
Welcome
excited
to the
when we
Bad
came
Bitch
up with this
Society
idea.
podcast where there's bad bitches
Oh, snitches!
and it's all on our Twitches.
Yeah!
I got super excited and I just want to explain how exciting this is. We are reading Creepypastas and neither of us have read any of these before.
I'm so excited.
So these are our
They're
genuine
spooky.
reactions. And I love, a good scary thing, so.
I'm such a wuss, but I love watching scary things. I can't watch it alone, but, if I'm with people, because hypothetically, let's say they come out of the TV, right? I can push someone in the way and make it escape.
So, because today we're doing creepy stuff, I have creepy music. Well, white noise. Weird background sounds. Just, unsettling background sounds.
If you hear a whale, that's the killer.
So, as always, before we start, I have my cherry Coke with me, and we're gonna do a first sip.
I have a cherry Pepsi.
Ready, guys? First sip! That bubbled into my mouth.
This is flat. I've had this in my room for 3 days, maybe. Don't be me. Better than me.
I should not be allowed more caffeine. I actually had coffee today. So yeah, okay. I have all of mine in front of me. Vic has his on his phone, so I don't know which, I would read mine. So, okay, how do I explain this? When I'm gonna read mine, I'm gonna open it up, the doc that I have, so that you guys could see it. But I don't have Vic's, so.
I'm gonna have to zoom the heck in because I didn't get my glasses yet, so it's so blurry to me.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like this. I'm gonna be like my mom when she looks at her phone.
So, the ones that I picked out are Ben Drowned, Clockwork, Your Time Is Up, Laughing Jack, and Tiki Toby, because all of these are ones that I've wanted to read for quite a while now. And I'm really excited to be reading them today because now I actually
Are we going back and forth,
yeah,
or
I
are
feel
we just
we should do back and forth because after a while it gets really tiring to read these. So Kimmy!
Kimmy!
I missed you! Oh my god!
Oh my god, Kimmy's here for the BBC
stream,
podcast.
I was talking about how much I missed you, Karen, and Cross so much being in my streams. Oh my god, yay! So happy!
Hi, Kimmy.
Uber miss. Those are my kids, guys. Those are my kids.
I feel like when you said Kimmy's name last stream, it just summoned.
It summoned her. Yeah, she knows.
Summoned her.
She knows. All right. Do you want to go first or should I go first?
You can go first. I know you're very excited about this.
Hi, Slash. Oh my
Hi,
god,
Slash.
we're having a Shaq reunion in chat right now.
I love that.
That's so cute. Ah! Okay.
They're here for us. Well, they're probably here for you, but.
Okay. Oh my god, I got so excited I choked on my own spit. Okay, so the one I'm gonna read first is... I'm gonna read Tiki Toby first. And guys, we haven't read... You'll be here for both of us? Kimmy said she'll be here for both of us.
Oh my god! I love that. Thank you, Kim.
We haven't read these before, so these are our first initial reactions to these. So.
Yay!
Alright. The long road home seemed to go on and on. The road continued to stretch in front of the vehicle endlessly. The light that shone through the branches of the tall, green trees danced across the window in random patterns, and every once in a while, obnoxiously shining in your eyes. I need to, go every single time. I have to scroll down because I can't read like that. The surroundings were full of deep green trees, forming a forest around the road. The only sound was the sound of the car's engine as it traveled down the path. It was peaceful and left a serene feeling. I hope that's how you say that word. Although the ride seemed like a nice one, it lacked every form of nice from its two passengers. The middle-aged woman behind the steering wheel had a neat, short brown hair that fit her complexion quite well. She wore a green V-neck t-shirt and a pair of blue jeans. Diamond stud earrings decorated each of her ears, which partially showed from behind her haircut. She had deep green eyes, which her shirt brought out, and the lighting seemed to make them more noticeable. There wasn't anything significant about her appearance. She looked like any other average mother that you would see on TV shows and the like. However, the one thing that made her very different from the average mothers was the dark bag she had under her eyes. Her facial expression was gloomy and sad, although she genuinely looked like someone who smiled a lot. She's a mom. That's why. Do you know the kind of shit that, children put on moms mentally? Hold on, I have to make this higher. Okay. I can't watch a lot of streams, sadly. I have stuff to do. It's okay, Slash. It's okay. I put the VODs up on my YouTube channel, Chippy. It's linked to my Discord. I put them up there after, every week, every Friday. I put new ones up. So if you miss it and you aren't able to watch it within the time period it is on Twitch, it's always up there.
And it's up here for 14 days or something like that. Yeah,
that's why I'm saying if you're not able to watch it within the 14 days, it's on my YouTube channel.
So if you want to catch up on our craziness, episode 1 through what number are we on? 5?
Yeah, I think so.
Dang, that's wild.
Okay, so it's 11 pages.
Oh my god.
She would sniffle every once in a while and occasionally glance in the rearview mirror to look at her son in the back seat, who was hunched over partially, with his arms held tight around his chest and his head pressed against the cold window. The boy lacked any normal appearance, and anyone could plainly see that there was something wrong with him. His messy brown hair went every which way, and the luminescent light, big word, brought out his pale, almost gray skin. His eyes were dark, unlike his mother's, and he wore a t-shirt and scrub pants that he had been provided for him by the hospital. The clothes he had worn were so shredded and bloodstained that they weren't wearable anymore. The right side of his face bared a few cuts, along with a slit eyebrow. Ooh.
You should do eyebrow slits right now. Are you going for the middle? Don't do an eyebrow slit here. You over here.
Yeah, over here.
Oh my god.
I'm never slitting my eyebrows.
You'll just accidentally go whoa.
His right arm was bandaged all the way to the shoulder, which had been shredded when his right side hit the shattered glass. Newsflash, he's dead. No, I'm literally, imagine he's dead. You know how
Here's the thing. Wearing the what's it called? Bloody clothes, right? Just unblood them.
What? Unblood them?
Just unblood them.
Wash them.
No, just suck up the blood.
Oh, like vampire style,
No. Your body just you sponge yourself. Just it's back in you.
What does your body do?
Sucks it back up.
You got your first dose of the COVID vaccine?
Oh heck yeah!
That's good. But it's
my little
that your
cousin
arm
got.
is sore.
My little cousin got the Pfizer vaccine because it's now available for 12 and up.
That's so good. I have not had that. Okay. His injuries appeared to be painful, when in reality he couldn't feel anything. This was just one of the glories of being him. One of the challenges he had to face while growing up was growing up with the rare disease that caused him to be completely numb towards pain. Never before had he felt himself get hurt. He could have lost an arm and felt nothing. The major disorder he had faced, which was the one that deemed him many insulting nicknames in the short time he attended grade school before he switched to homeschooling, was his Tourette syndrome, which caused him to tick and twitch in ways that he couldn't control. He would crack his neck uncontrollably and twitch every once in a while. The kids would tease him and call him Ticky Toby, and they mocked him with exaggerated twitching and laughing. It got so bad that he turned to homeschooling.
Ticky Toby.
I'm gonna punch the shit out of these non-real kids, okay? What the fuck? It's just and you're like... It got so bad he had to turn to homeschooling. It was hard for him to be in a common learning environment with seemingly every kid poking or more like stabbing fun at him.
I mean, okay, wait, hear me out. When he's older, that's gonna be the dopest party trick ever. Go to a party, you just grab a little butter knife and you're like... you play it off like it hurts and he's just like, haha, I gotcha.
I know that there was, I don't know much about Tourette's, but I know there was one thing that I was learning in 7th grade. There's a disease that you can have where you don't feel anything at all, it's not like you're paralyzed, but if you get hurt, you don't feel it. And
that's what this kid's got.
Yeah, but he also, is it 2 different things, or is it?
Yeah, it's 2 different things.
Oh, okay. Because basically what would happen is you could break your arm and then you wouldn't feel anything, and you could go on not even realizing that your arm is broken, and then it takes longer to repair the cells. It doesn't repair as fast as normal people's does. So a minor scratch, if you got a paper cut, could be deadly to someone like that. Okay, back to reading. Toby stared blankly out the window, his face empty of any emotion, and every few minutes his shoulder, arm, or foot would twitch. Every bump that the car tires hit would make his stomach turn. Toby Rogers was the boy's name, and the last time Toby remembered riding in a car was when it crashed. Okay, so he probably is dead. That's all he thought about, unconsciously replaying everything he remembered before he blacked out over and over again. Toby hadn't been the lucky one. His sister had not been so lucky. When the thought of his sister came, he couldn't help the tears that welled up in his eyes. The horrible memories replayed in his mind. Her screaming that had cut off when the front of the car was smashed in. It all went blank for a moment when Toby opened his eyes to see his sister's body, her forehead pierced with glass shards, her hips and legs crushed under the force of the steering wheel, and her torso pushed in from the too late inflated airbag. That was the last thing he had seen of his dear older sister. This is so sad!
This isn't scary, this is sad!
I was expecting, something terrifying. Maybe it gets scarier later. Maybe it's, sad beginning to, give you a scarier end. Maybe? I don't know. But that's so sad! My heart hurts!
You're gonna make Kimmy cry.
I also had a burp. The road home continued.
You just fan your throat. The
road home continued on for what seemed like forever. It took so long to get home because his mom wanted to avoid the sight of the crash. When the surroundings gave way to a familiar neighborhood, they were both more than ready to get out of the car and step back into their own home. It was an older neighborhood with quaint little houses all next to each other. The car drove in front of a blue house with white window panes. They both quickly noticed the old vehicle that was parked in the front of the house and the familiar figure that stood in the driveway. Toby felt automatic anger and frustration take over him at the sight of his father who wasn't there. What? I'm confused. All I I know is
His father was never there.
All I have to say is daddy issues.
What if his father caused the accident? Like, he's dead, but Toby blames him for it all.
Maybe.
Ooh.
Maybe.
I just, like, saw the whole story.
Please don't make me cry. I could easily cry at the color pink. That's how emotional I am. Felt.
The color pink.
Plot
It's
twist.
like
Dun,
Pinkie
dun,
Pie
dun.
from My Little Pony.
My
Little pony, my little pony.
We've got 2 out of 11 pages through, so we have to, like, get through this. His mother pulled the car up in the driveway beside him before turning off the engine and preparing to step out and face her husband. Why is he here? Toby said quietly as he looked back at his mother, who reached to open the car door. He's your father, Toby. He's here because he wants to see you, his mother responded in a monotone voice, trying to sound less shaky. Yet he couldn't drive up to the hospital to see Lyra before she died. Toby narrowed his eyes out the window. He was drunk that night, honey. He couldn't drive. Yeah, when is he not? Toby pushed the door open before his mother and stumbled out onto the driveway where he met his father's gaze before looking down at his feet with a stern expression. His mother stepped out behind him and met her husband's eyes before walking around the car. Daddy issues. His father opened up. His father opened his arms, expecting a hug from his wife, but she pushed past him and put her arms around Toby's shoulder and started leading him inside. Connie.
This is why it's going to take 2 hours just for you to read the 11 pages.
Connie, her husband began in a raspy voice. What, no welcome hug, huh? She ignored her husband's obnoxious words and walked past him with her son under her arm. Hey, he's 16. He can walk by himself. His father began to follow them in. He's 17. Oh, he's my age. Connie glared.
Dang, I'm older than him.
Before opening the door to the house and stepping inside. Toby, why don't we get you to your room to get some rest, okay? I'll come get you when dinner is ready. No, I'm 16. I can walk by myself. Toby said sarcastically.
The heck, I thought he was 17.
I think he was making fun of his dad. Toby said sarcastically and glared back at his father before stumbling up the small staircase and turning into his room where he slammed the door violently. Yeah, he was definitely making fun of us. Your sister's drinking whipped cream from a water bottle? My sister
sounds
would
like
do
something.
that.
That sounds like something your sister would do.
My sister would do. Our sisters have the same brain.
And that's why Kimmy follows the channel.
Yeah. His little room didn't have much in it, just a small bed, a dresser, a window, and his walls had a few picture frames of his family, back when they were a family. Before his father became an alcoholic and acted violently towards the rest of his family, Toby remembered when he was arguing with his mom and he grabbed her by the hair and shoved her onto the floor. And when Lyra tried to break it up, he pushed her and he hit her back on the corner of the kitchen counter. Toby could never forgive him for what he did to his mother and sister. Never. This is
and
so
his sister?
sad!
Such a long story, too, and it's not scary!
Shush. Toby didn't care how much his father beat him down. He couldn't feel it anyway. What did he care about What he did care about was how he intentionally hurt the only 2 people he cared about. And when he was waiting in the hospital where his sister took her last breaths, the only one who didn't rush there was his dad. Toby stood by the window and looked out at the street. He could have sworn he saw something out of the corner of his eye, but quickly blamed it on the meds he was on. When dinner time had come and his mother called up to him, Toby came down the stairs and hesitantly sat down at the table across from his father, and in between his mother and an empty chair. It was quiet as his parents picked up their food, but Toby refused to eat. Instead, he just watched his dad with a blank stare. His mother caught on to his staring and elbowed him slightly. Toby looked over at her slightly, and then down at his uneaten food. which he still didn't touch. Toby laid in bed. I'm assuming that's supposed to say bed. He pulled his covers over his head and stared at the window. He was tired, but there was no way he could fall asleep. He couldn't. There was too much to think about. He had been debating on whether or not to follow his mother's directions and forgive his father, or continue holding a grudge with his boiling hatred.
That's me right now.
Too much like me. Okay. He heard his door creak open, and his mother padded into the room and sat on the bed next to him. She reached over and rubbed his back, which had been turned to her. I know it's hard, Toby. Trust me, I understand, but I promise you it will get better, she said softly. When is he going to leave? Toby said with an innocent tone in his shaky voice. Connie let her gaze fall down to her feet. I don't know, honey. He's staying as far as I know, she replied. Toby didn't respond. He just continued to look forward at the wall, holding his damaged arm near his chest. After a few minutes of silence, his mother sighed before she leaned in to kiss his cheek and stood up to walk out of the room. Good night, she said as she closed the door. The hours passed slowly, and Toby couldn't quit tossing and turning. Every time he let his imagination take over, he heard the screeching of tires, the screaming of his sister, and he would uncontrollably jerk in his bed. He threw off his cover, and lying on his back, he pulled his pillow over his face and cried into it. He could hear his own pitiful weeping. He would have been screaming and crying if he didn't press his pillow over his face. After a few seconds, he threw the pillow off his face and sat up, hunched over, holding his head and breathing roughly, tears streaming from his eyes. He couldn't help but cry. He tried to keep it in, but he couldn't stop the whining and whimpering as he sat there shaking. He inhaled before he stood up and walked around his bed to the window and peered out, taking deep breaths, trying to calm down. He rubbed his eyes and looked out at a group of tall pine trees across the street. He stopped suddenly, and his gaze slowly centered on something standing under the streetlight. Okay, now maybe things will get creepy.
He seems to have PTSD about this event is. Maybe he was driving, like maybe he got his learner's permit or even his license because
That's
16
what I'm
you
thinking,
can.
because he said that earlier he said he blamed himself for his sister's death.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe he was
maybe
driving
he was
with
driving.
his sister.
Yes.
Yeah. He stopped suddenly, and his gaze slowly centered on something standing under the streetlight. He heard ringing in his ears, and he couldn't look away. The figure stood beside the streetlight, about 2 feet shorter than it did, long arms draped at its sides as it stared up at him with non-existent eyes. The figure had no facial features to speak of, no eyes, no mouth, no nose, yet it held Toby's hypnotized stare, seemingly peering into his very being. The ringing in his ears grew louder and louder. Each second he stared before suddenly it all went black. Back.
Slenderman?
I think it is Slenderman.
It's Slenderman's tall, has no face, has long arms. I'm getting spooked now.
Yo, now we're starting to get to the plot.
What page are we on now?
We're almost done with page 5. Listen, we're almost halfway through it, okay? You're just doing Spanish work? Okay. And she's listening while she does her Spanish work. Okay.
Yo tengo no español tarea para la casa. Para la casa.
Okay. The next morning, Toby woke up in his bed. He felt different. He wasn't tired at all, and when he consciously woke up, it felt like he'd been lying there awake for hours. He had no thoughts flowing through his mind. He sat up slowly and stumbled over to the wall, but when he stood, he automatically felt dizzy. He stumbled to the doorway and walked down the stairs. His parents were sitting at the table. His father was tuned into the small TV that sat on the countertop, and his mother was reading the newspaper. She quickly looked over, and when she felt Toby's presence looming behind her. Well, good morning, sleepyhead. You've been sleeping forever. She greeted him with a hesitant smile. Toby slowly looked over at the clock and noticed that it was 12:30 p.m. I made you breakfast, but it got cold. I was going to wake you up, but I felt that you needed sleep. Her expression fell from happy to worried as her son resisted responding to her. Are you all right? Toby stumbled over and sat by his father. He felt as if he was on idle and had no control over his actions. He was seeing everything he did, but it didn't register in his brain properly. He reached out to his father's arm, but his hand ended up getting slapped. His father turned to him abruptly and pushed his chair over with his foot. Don't touch me, boy, he yelled. His mother stood up. All right, knock that off. That's the last thing we need. The days went by, and things continued on as they were. Connie spent most of her time cleaning the house, and her rude husband spent most of the time ordering her around. It was just like how they used to be before the crash. Toby never really left his room. He would sit by his bed and tremble. His mind would wander, but thoughts changed too fast as he were to be remembered. He would pace around his small room like a caged animal or stare out the window. The unhealthy cycle continued. Connie continued to be pushed around by her husband, way too submissive for him. And Tony...
You see my tan line from work today?
And Toby
no!
remained in his room. Oh my god, I love how
that might
you're
just be
half
the lighting,
pale.
but like...
That's really funny.
Yeah, but it's... Oh, I gotta wear my sleeves up tomorrow.
Yeah, you've got like farmer's tan. You do.
Oh no!
Before he could think twice, he would begin to chew on his hands, tearing the flesh from his fingers. He would gnaw his hands until they bled. Ew. When his
The dad or
walked
him?
in on what?
Him or his dad?
Himself.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I mean,
Confused
when
there for a second.
sometimes like I get really anxious and I pinch the beds of the beds of my fingers, and it gets bad sometimes. Like I'll end up cutting them, but it's like
It's fine.
anxious stuff. When his mother walked in on him while he was doing so, she reacted horribly. She rushed him downstairs and grabbed the first aid kit, wrapping his hands in bandages. Afterwards, she demanded that he wouldn't leave her side again. Toby isolated himself so much that he grew to hate being around others. His memory grew glitchy as well. He'd start missing memory of minutes, hours, days, and so on. He would begin talking nonsense about things completely unrelated to the conversations he would have. He'd go off about seeing things, sharks in the sink as he washed the dishes, hearing crickets in his pillows, and seeing ghosts outside his bedroom window. His mother grew so anxious about his mental health that she decided that it would be good for him to talk to a professional about what he had been feeling. Connie walked Toby into the building, holding his hand and guiding him in. She walked him up to the front desk and began talking to the lady who sat behind him. Miss Rogers, the lady asked. Yes, that's me, Connie nodded. We're here to see Dr. Oliver. I'm here with Toby Rogers. Yes, right this way. The lady stood and led them down a long hallway. Toby looked at the framed artwork framed artwork down the halls, and tuned into the sound of the lady's high heels on the hardwood floor. She opened the door to a room with a table and 2 chairs. If we could get him to sit in here for a few minutes, I'll get the doctor. She smiled and held the door open. Toby stumbled into the room and sat down at the table. He looked over at his mother and the lady before the door slowly shut behind them. He looked around the room before he held up his tightly bandaged hands and began to bite at the bandages to unwrap his hands. But he was interrupted as the door swung open and a young woman in a black and spotted dress with light blonde hair stepped in, holding a clipboard and a pen. Literally Harleen Quinzel. Toby? She asked with a smile. Toby looked up at her and nodded. Nice to meet you, Toby. My name's Dr. Oliver. She put her hand out for him to shake, but I'm guessing it's supposed to say but, it says bye. Hesitantly pulled away when she noticed his bandaged hands. Oh, she smiled nervously before clearing her throat and sitting in the chair across the table from him. So I'm going to ask you a few questions. Try to answer them as honestly as possible, okay? She placed her clipboard on the table. Toby nodded slowly and held his restrained hands in his lap. How old are you, Toby? 17, he responded quietly. She wrote that down on a paper that was clipped to the clipboard. What's your full name? Toby Aaron Rogers. When is your birthday? April 28th. Who is your immediate family? Toby paused for a minute before answering the question. My mom, my dad, and he stopped. My sister. I heard about your sister, dear. I'm really sorry. Her expression faded into a sad, pity-filled look. Toby nodded. Do you remember anything from the crash, Toby? Toby looked around. That was really weird. Toby looked away from her. His mind went blank for a moment. He looked down at his lap, and in the surrounding area, he heard a faint ringing sound. His eyes widened, and he froze in place. Toby? The counselor asked. Toby, are you listening? Toby felt a shiver go down his spine until he froze once again and slowly looked over at the little window through the door where he saw it, a dark, featureless figure peering at him. He stared, eyes widened, and the ringing growing louder and louder until suddenly the loud voice of the counselor broke his trance. Toby! She yelled. Toby jumped and fell sideways out of his chair and backed up into a corner. Dr. Oliver stood up, holding her clipboard to her chest, a surprised look in her eyes. Toby met her eyes again, his breath hitching as he twitched. That night, Toby lay in bed. His eyes were dazed as he stared straight up at his ceiling. He could feel himself begin to doze off when he heard the scattering of footsteps down his hallway. He sat up and looked towards the doorway, his door wide open. There was no light. Everything was lit by luminescent blue glow of the moon through his window, leaving a cold lighting. He stood up and slowly made his way towards the doorway, when suddenly the door,
do that!
which previously was wide open, slammed in his face.
No!
Boy, every horror movie suggests not to do that.
You just go back to bed, put the covers on you, and the killer can't kill you.
Hold on. Not putting a photo of a dream burger in for one of the words. That's so funny. Do the dream burger. That's so funny. Okay. He was out of breath when he hit the ground, and he began breathing heavily, his eyes wide open. He waited for a few seconds before getting back on his feet. He reached out and grasped the cold door handle with his bandaged hand and creaked open. He looked out into the dark hallway and tiptoed out of his room. The window at the end of the hallway lit up the darkness with blue moonlight as he patted his way down. He could hear footsteps rustling around him, and the faint giggling followed by the pitter-patter of small feet, which sounded like a child had run in front of him, giggling and running around.
His sister?
The hallway was a lot longer than he remembered. It seemed endless, like the ride home from the hospital. He heard the door creak in front of him. Mom? He called in a shaky voice. Suddenly, a door slammed behind him, and he jumped and turned around. Oh my god! Behind him, he heard a long, eerie groan that sounded like a croak in his right ear. He turned around as fast as he could, and suddenly he was face to face with none other than his dead sister.
Oh my god, I'm getting chills.
You got it right. Her eyes were clouded white, her skin pale, and the right side of her jaw dangling there by tissue and muscle, glass protruding from her forehead, black blood leaking down her face, her blonde hair pulled up in a ponytail as it always was, and she was wearing her gray t-shirt and athletic shorts, which were dirty and spotted with blood. Her legs were bent in ways they shouldn't be. She stood emitting a long, croaking noise, only an inch away from Toby's face. Toby
Oh my god, I think I would have a heart attack.
That sounds so
I'm gonna
gross.
I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
I'm not. It just sounds nasty.
Sounds terrifying.
It just sounds gross.
Oh my god.
Toby yelped and fell back. Ah! He started to cry. I smiled and looked at myself in stream, and I made like one of those, like the cat smiles, like the ones that look like the threes upside down, like the W's.
Threes upside down?
I forgot what a W was. It's fine. It's fine, okay? Ignore that. That didn't happen. Ah! He started to crawl backwards away from her, but he was unable to break eye contact. He held with her blank, dead eyes. He dragged himself backward until he backed up into something. He stopped for a second. Everything was dead silent except for this heavy breathing and crying. He slowly looked up to meet the blank face of a tall, dark figure, the same figure that stood over him now. Behind the tall, dark mass were rows of children looking to range from 3 to 10 years old, their eyes completely black, and dark blood leaked from their eye sockets. Ew. That's nasty.
Did you like drive a school bus or something?
He screamed and stood up as fast as he could, only to be tripped by dark black tendrils that wrapped around his ankle. He fell straight on his stomach and got the wind knocked out of him. He tried to scream, but he couldn't make a sound. I tried to scream, but my head was underwater.
I like his head's under blood of his sister.
He wheezed out before it all went black. Toby woke with a start. He screamed out and sat up as fast as he could, completely short of breath. He wheezed out and held his chest with his bandaged hands. It was just a dream, just a dream. He lay back down in his bed and rolled over his side. It felt like against weight, I don't know why it says that, had been lifted off his chest as he took in deep breaths. What is she? Oh, my sister's 8% battery. He stood up and patted over his window. He saw nothing. Nobody was out there. No ghost, no figure, nothing. He heard rustling and coughing of his father outside the doorway. His door was closed. He walked over and opened it, looking out in the hallway once again. He padded down the hallway and into the kitchen where he found his dad standing and having a smoke in their living room. Toby waited for a second and watched him from around the corner before a burning feeling started deep in his chest. Deep, boiling anger overtook him. He heard the little imaginary voices in his head. Do it, do it, do it, they chanted.
Like, is this schizophrenia too now?
Maybe, I don't know. He's got a lot of problems, apparently. He turned away and held his arms. He felt like he actually had control over himself, unlike he did for the past few weeks before since he got him home from the hospital. Liv?
Dude, the fact that noises are happening in your household is not a good sign.
Okay. Guys, I live in the basement, so when people come downstairs, it's not often, but Olive is drawing in my basement, so.
Your sister responded though, right?
Yeah, she's talking right now.
Okay.
It's okay, bub!
The fact that noises were happening as you were reading that, it's never a good sign to show.
Oh, if you want to come in
We
here
just
so that
talked about
Vic
this.
doesn't get scared, you want to just say hi?
I'm already scared.
You want to come say hi? Okay, what are you making? Something. That's not concerning. Whatever.
The story's more concerning than the drawing.
Also, Olive, charge your phone. It's charging? Good. Okay. He turned away and held in his arms. He felt like he actually had control of himself, unlike he did for the past few weeks since he got home from the hospital. He actually had complete thoughts, just for a moment, before the chanting of the little voices in his head clouded him. Kill him. He wasn't there. He He wasn't there. Kill him. Kill him. They continued on. Toby trembled. No, he wasn't going to do that. What was he, going crazy? No, he wouldn't kill anyone. He can't. He hated his father, but there was no way he was going to kill him. That was it. The last thought he had before he went into an idle state once again. The influence of the voices in his head was too much. He began to silently walk up behind his father. He reached over the counter to the knife in the case. He gripped it in his hand. He felt the sensation take over in his chest. He let out a snicker.
But guys, this time he killed his sister, and like in the car, like the voices were like, "Kill her, kill her, kill her."
I don't know.
This guy has schizophrenia.
Probably. He began laughing so hard he had to gasp for breath. Oh my god, I choked on my spit while fake laughing. Twins! His father turned around abruptly before he felt a brute force shove him to the floor. He grunted as the air was knocked out of him. What?
He just shanked.
He looked up at the boy who stood over him, grasping the kitchen knife in his hand. Toby, what are you doing? He went to sit up and put his arms out in front of him in self-defense, but before he knew it, Toby was on top of him. He went to grab his neck, but his father reached out and blocked his hand by grabbing onto his wrist. Stop! Get off of me, you little fucker! He yelled with his other hand as he threw an off-center punch towards Toby's shoulder, but he didn't stop. The look in Toby's eyes was not sane. It looked as if a demon had taken control of him. He yelled back and went to stab the knife into his father's chest, but his father blocked him and grabbed onto his wrist once. He went to shove him back, but Toby kicked his feet out in front of him and landed a hard blow straight to his father's face. His father recoiled and pulled his arms away to cuff his face, but Toby got up and drove the knife straight into his shoulder. Murdering dads! His father let out a loud cry and went to pull the knife out, but before he could, Toby threw his fist straight into his face. He began to pound his fists into his head, laughing and wheezing. He cracked his neck and grabbed the knife and ripped it out of his father's shoulder. He drove it deep into his dad's chest and repeatedly stabbed onto his torso, blood spilling out and getting splattered everywhere. He didn't stop until his father's body went still. He threw the knife over
so
to the
casually.
side. Just like, yay! Bye, Dad.
Hey, my father, but oh my god.
He didn't stop until his father's body went still. He threw the knife over to the side and leaned over his body, coughing and panting. He stared at his father's smashed-in face and sat there twitching until a loud scream broke the silence. He looked over to see his mother standing a few feet away, covering her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Toby! She screamed. Why did you do that? She cried. Why? She screamed. Toby stood up and began to back away from his father's bloody corpse. He began to back out of the kitchen. He looked down at the blood-soaked bandages on his hands and looked at his mother one last time before he turned and ran out of the house. He ran into the garage and slammed his hand against the control panel on the wall and pushed the button to open the garage door. Before he ran out, he noticed his father's hatchets, which had been hanging on the tool rack above the table full of jars filled to the brim with old rusted nails and screws. One of the hatchets was new. It had a bright orange handle and a shiny blade. The other was old with a wooden handle and an old dull blade. He grabbed both and looked down at the table, and he saw a box of matches and under the table a red gasoline tank. He held both of the hatchets in one hand and grabbed the matches and gasoline before running out of the garage, down the driveway and up the street. As he approached the street light that he could see out his own bedroom window, he heard police sirens in the distance. He turned around and the red and blue flashing lights came rushing down the street. Toby stood for a second before he pulled open the cap on the gasoline tank, and he ran down the street, spilling gasoline all over the street after him. Damn, Shabby. He turned and ran into the trees. He poured the last bit of gasoline out before he reached into his pocket and pulled out a match. Forest fire! He struck... I just spit everywhere. He struck it against the box and immediately dropped it. In an instant, flames burst around him. The fire caught on the trees and bushes around him, and before he knew it, he was surrounded by fire. The silhouettes of police were visible through the flames as he backed away into the forest around him. He looked around, but his vision was blurred. His heart was pounding, and he closed his eyes for a moment. That was it. This was the end. Toby felt a hand on his shoulder. He opened his eyes and looked over to see a large white hand with long, bony fingers resting on his shoulder. He followed the arm that was attached to the hand to a dark, towering figure. It appeared to be wearing a dark suit, and its face was completely blank. It towered over Toby's small frame as it looked down on him. Tendrils reached out from its back. Before Toby knew it, his vision blurred, and he heard the sound of ringing in his ears. Everything went blank. That was it. That was the end. That's how Toby Rogers died. A few weeks later, Connie sat in her sister's kitchen. Her sister Lori sat next to her drinking a cup of coffee. About 3 weeks ago, Connie lost her husband and her son, and a few weeks before she had lost her daughter to a car crash. Since then, she moved in with her sister. The police were keeping her busy. They had just finished cleaning up the case, and the story had been released 2 weeks ago. The focus of the world seemed to have shifted to completely new stories. Lori switched the TV on to a news broadcast. On the TV, the news reporter began introducing the new headline. We have breaking news. Last night there had been reported the murder of 4 individuals. There are no suspects yet, but the victims were a group of middle school kids who had been out in the woods late at night. The kids have been bludgeoned and stabbed to death. The investigators have discovered a weapon at the crime scene. It appears to be an old dull blade hatchet, as you can see. The picture changed to show snapshots of the weapon exactly as it was left at the crime scene. Investigators have pulled the name of the possible suspect, Toby Rogers, a 17-year-old boy who stabbed his father to death a few weeks ago and tried to cover up his escape by setting a fire in the streets and forest area around the neighborhood. Although they believed the young boy died in the fire, investigators suspect Rogers might still be alive due to the fact that his body was never found. That's it. So I guess he's still alive. It's interesting. I want to go.
It doesn't make me feel better, but like... Oh my god.
Ooh, I like the fan art.
Fan art?
Yeah, he's kind of cute. Hold on.
That's my sister moving around. Okay, thank God. See this fan art. It's
That's
loading
like
on my
Bosnia.
end.
These are
Oh.
all fan arts of it. He's kind of cute.
Oh, the ones with the lit eyes are so creepy.
That?
Those are glasses.
Which ones with the lit eyes?
Glasses look like lit up eyes from like afar.
I think he's kind of cute. He reminds me of...
Because he looks like Wilbur.
Yes! That's why he's attractive. He's attractive
Oh my
to
God.
me. Okay, but look at this fan art.
I want someone to make fan art one day of
That's
me
so
looking like
attractive.
Toby.
That's so attractive. Low-key adorable. He is. He's kind of cute. He's kind of really cute. Panic room. Welcome to the panic room. Okay, Vic, do you want to share your story now? One of your stories?
Sure. My estimated time is only 11 minutes.
Mine, I don't remember what estimated that was, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. This one is called Skinwalker. My father told me a story once. I'll never forget it for a few reasons. I think it's the story he never ever told me as a child. It's also the story of how my grandfather died. But honestly, that isn't the reason. You hear stories on TV, or sometimes you overhear something in a public place. People talk about ghosts and aliens, and you think to yourself, that ain't real. They're making it up, or they're mistaken, or they're crazy, or something like that. You just can't believe it. That is, until something happens. Something that brings it all together, connects the dots in a way you didn't think of before. Maybe it happens to you, or maybe you hear the same story again and again from different people. It doesn't take long for the world to become a lot bigger than you thought it was. I got chills during that. As I said, this is a story my father told me, but I never believed it, even though he swore up and down it was true. It wasn't until I started clicking around the internet that I started to believe. I started to hear other stories just like the one my father told me. It didn't take me long to believe after that. It's not what my father called it, of course. He never used the internet in his life. Wouldn't know what the online community had begun to calling it. He chose to call it something other than it or that thing. He called it a skinwalker. Through an old Cherokee tale his grandfather told him. I'll tell you the story the way he told it to me. We were out hunting one night, in the woods, surrounding the dairy farm in Ohio where we lived at the time, he'd tell me. We were tracking coyotes. We'd kill them for $50 a skin. We'd kill calves sometimes. We'd do it every night because we needed the money. Sometimes while we were out, we'd come on a deer and kill it. Warning, but okay. Our landlord didn't mind, and it could feed our family for a few nights and save us some money.
Wait.
Anyway,
They would kill the deer and eat the deer?
They would eat the meat and sell the skin.
I have deer in my backyard.
Don't kill the deer self.
Why not?
Just no.
Why not?
Stop, please don't stare at me like that.
Yeah, I can
Anyway, we were done making our rounds and heading home, walking because we didn't have a car or four-wheeler back then. We cut through the woods. That's when we came upon it. Blood everywhere, splattered on trees, in the grass, in the creek, everywhere. At first we figured it was a pack of coyotes. We'd seen how sometimes, when they weren't able to scavenge for whatever reason, they'd start hunting deer or cattle out of desperation.
Can I say two things
Worst
real
part...
quick?
Sure.
So, Kimmy just said, the deer near me eats all my plants. Feel free to kill mine. Okay. Second of all, apparently there's a big ass fox in my neighborhood. Like a really big fucking fox. And apparently
It's a skinwalker.
And then apparently someone saw a coyote.
It's a skinwalker. Usually skinwalkers sometimes are bigger than the typical animal.
Maybe.
Ooh, I'm scaring myself. Where was I?
Have nightmares and then FaceTime me and be like, I can't sleep, so
Yeah, I'm gonna fall asleep with all the lights on.
I'm probably gonna have Olive sleep in my bed with me or something.
Worst was when they bred with feral dogs. This wasn't like that. See, when a pack of dogs, wolves, or coyotes attack something, they do it right. They'll pick off one that's weak, sick, or old, or just small. Hunt it, draw it into the corner, somewhere it can't get out of, and they'll run it right to the biggest one, the alpha. The deer will never see that alpha. It might hear it, but it won't see it. All of a sudden, its throat will be torn out, and it'll drop dead. It's quick and it's clean. That wasn't what happened here. Something had come upon a group of deer. Coyotes won't attack a group. Wolves wouldn't either. They'd get too much of a fight. There were 3, I think. 3 bodies just torn apart. You'd see a head or a torso here and a leg there. Predators don't do that. They don't leave scraps behind. Whoever has done this hasn't done it for food. It had done it for fun. We didn't know that at the time, of course. We just saw a bunch of carcasses and figured it's something we'd have to take care of. I remember my dad telling me to go home, that he thought it was a work of a pack of feral dogs. I wasn't leaving him, and I damn sure wasn't hiking through 2 miles of woods alone in the dark with nothing but a 22 and a pocket knife. I was only 13 at the time, so a 22 rifle was the only gun I could reliably use. Yeah, Ed had the shotgun, and I wasn't going anywhere without it or him. It took me a while to convince him, but finally we began tracking whatever did that. It wasn't hard either, we just followed the blood. Either that thing bled a deer before it got away, or dragged one for a mile. I don't know. What I do know is that I'd never seen my dad scared before that night. Ooh, I gotta put a blanket over my feet so nothing steals me in this moment. I guess I'm scared so easily.
I'm not that easily terrified. I could get jump scared easy, but if you're reading to me.
Oh my god, I can get scared over anything.
I do have
started hearing with the pee.
Low key, but I'll wait. I'll wait it out.
Started hearing the most horrible sounds. Now, I've been in the woods a lot in my life, and I've been all over the world. But I ain't heard noises like I heard that night. I heard things screaming. I heard deer, fox, rabbits, raccoons, birds, all of them afraid of something and hightailing it. Keep in mind, this is maybe 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Except for the fox and some birds, nothing was supposed to be awake at that hour. They weren't just awake, mind you. They were on the run. That night, I saw a flock of birds flying straight into trees, trying to escape something. Came upon a pack of coyotes and nearly shot a couple thinking they had their eyes on us. When we saw they were running from someone, nothing towards us. They didn't even notice us and went right past. And some deer did the same. Some rabbits, squirrels, and foxes. Even a couple of wild hogs. Critters were supposed to be hunting each other, and the only thing they cared about was getting as far away from them there as possible. Should have put 2 and 2 together that maybe whatever we were tracking wasn't something we were supposed to see and wasn't something we could kill. This day, I don't know why we didn't just go home. I guess we were curious. I think that my dad's nature to go toward trouble to fight. Being aware of the things my father did during the war, I figured it was the best to stay by his side. Finally reached the open valley. It was normally a soy field, but it wasn't in season, so it was just flat dirt. That's when we saw the tracks. Animals fleeing the forest had leveled everything in their path. Where that deer blood was, nothing had taken a single step. It was like whatever was responsible had left it for us to find. Tracks were shallow. Whatever it was couldn't have weighed more than 100 pounds. That didn't mean much. Bobcat weighing 40 pounds, soaking wet, can tear out your throat if you ain't careful. The fact that this thing was on the lighter side just meant it was probably quick and going to be tough to hit. We followed the tracks and it didn't take us long to find where they led. There's an old schoolhouse that sits on top of a hill. Half of it had been ripped out by a tornado, but nobody lived there. Not for a long time. Sometimes we caught homeless people in there on drug addicts looking for a safe place to shoot up. Figured maybe that was it. Maybe it was some sick kid riding a high. We didn't think that for long. We got within 50 yards, we heard a noise, some sort of screech made up of 2 different sounds. One was high-pitched and another was a low growl. It was making both sounds at the same time, if that makes any sense. We approached it within 20 yards and we heard another sound, different this time. I remember thinking that it sounded like a paper being torn apart while someone was swinging water back and forth in a bucket. Dad looked at me, knelt down and whispered. Told me I had to stay behind him because we were about to corner our prey. Any animal will fight when it's cornered, especially a predator. We can tell by the tracks that there's only one. Tells me it's probably a single feral dog, most likely rabid. Plan, he said, was to sneak up on it while it was eating, shoot it, and keep shooting it till it didn't move anymore. Then slit its throat. The thing about skinwalkers is there's a specific way to kill them and guns can't.
Oh.
Fucking scary. If it got to Dad, it was my job to shoot it or stab it to get rid of him. He's leaving. They're too scary.
I don't know. She had to go.
No.
I'll see you soon.
Hi, Kimmy. So he walked up with me right behind him, just a tad to his side so I can see what it is. I wish to this day I hadn't. He was leaning over a carcass, tearing off his flesh and throwing what it didn't nibble at the side.
Oh, she has to
It was...
sleep. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, I'm
There was
sorry,
blood
I'll
all over the brick. Okay. Glistening in the moonlight. It was pale white. It looked like a man, but not quite a human. It had arms and legs like ours, sat like a monkey, hunched over. Its hands weren't normal. It had fingers with claws at the end. We saw that, and my dad hesitated. He wasn't about to fire at a person, so he cleared his throat to try and get it to turn around. I swear to God Almighty, all the noise just ceased in an instant. I ain't never heard true silence before that, and never again afterward. But for 2 seconds, nothing made any noise, and I mean nothing. This made it all the louder. When that thing turned around, made this shrill cry, and pounced on my dad. Oh my God, I'm getting chills. Got a shot off. I think he missed. If he hit it, it didn't phase the thing at all. It was on him, tearing entire parts of him off. I started shooting it with a .22 point blank. The thing barely bled at all. I got off 5 rounds and then I started hitting it with the butt of the gun. It didn't budge or even register that I was there. It was clawing at my dad, removing whole chunks of his flesh. It started on his torso, peeling off skin on his chest. Then moved up. It tore out his throat and ripped his nose clean off. It gouged out his eyes. Then it scalped him and started digging in. I stood there helpless as it ripped off the bottom half of his jaw. What's it up with everybody in like ripped off jaws?
Yeah, sounds cool. I've been voted most likely to become a serial killer in a Discord server once. I wonder why.
I think I see why. Little bones and the tube in his neck and the half and then his ribs. I don't exactly remember what happened, but somehow my dad's knife ended up in this thing's shoulder, and my dad, what was left of him, this ended up on my back. I was running, and by God, I was going faster than I'd ever run before or after. It was following me. I ended up back in the forest, opposite the woods we started in. I was heading towards my landlord's house because it was the closest thing to help nearby. Even that was half a mile. All the while, I could hear this thing screeching and moaning. I heard branches cracking and getting thrown around. It was cracking so loud and often that it sounded like someone was taking an axe to every single tree I passed. I never looked back, not once. Thought didn't even cross my mind. Finally, I tripped and fell into some gravel. I looked up to see my landlord and a bunch of his buddies drinking around a campfire. I screamed and cried and they came over. I told them to call an ambulance and my landlord looked at me and said something I'll never forget. What is that on your back? He asked me. Just as the words left his mouth, it dawned on him without my saying a word. It was one of those god-awful flannel shirts my dad wore everywhere, he realized. It was damn near all that was left of my dad. Aside from a bit of my father's head and torso, that's all there was. Absolutely nothing below the waist. Suddenly we heard it, the screeching. My landlord grabbed me, causing me to drop what's left of Dad on the ground. I was fighting him, crying, because I thought we could still save him somehow. The truth is, my dad had been gone well before I ever picked him up, and all I'd done was carry a corpse back home. My landlord had picked me up and thrown me inside before I could go with him. He and his buddies, all of us, went inside together, and they locked the doors and got their guns. The landlord asked me, what happened? But I didn't know what to tell him. He pieced enough of it together to understand that there was something dangerous out there. All the lights in the house were on, and someone called the cops. They were to get there as soon as they could, they said, but that meant in 15 minutes. I looked outside and saw it in front of the fire they'd made. No one knew what it was. One of them said it looked like an ape. Suddenly something came crashing through the window. We all fired at it, but quickly realized it wasn't the thing. No, it was my landlord's dog. Well, his body anyway. His head and legs were missing. He had just started pushing things in front of the doors and windows to form a barricade when we heard something in the garage. I remember one of his friends saying that the doors were open. We heard metal and glass being ripped and smashed. We dragged the couch and the TV in front of the door of the garage for added measure. Banged around some more, but then it got quiet. Not silent like it was before, but we could hear him move around some. Guys were talking, making sure their guns were ready. Someone handed me a pistol. No sooner had I cocked the hammer back when we heard something shatter upstairs. Then we heard it screech again, except this time it was louder and didn't echo and fade out because it was inside. Oh my god, this is so long. We all rushed to the one door that led upstairs and we got it through it just as that thing did. It opened it just a bit and 4 or 5 men just slammed into it. It managed to get its hand through. Someone with a shotgun took care of that. Put the barrel right up to its wrist and pull it. Blew its hand clean off. That only pissed it though. It started shoving that door, clawing. We were on one side, pushing as best as we could, and it was on the other, doing the same. The wood wasn't going to hold, so someone told us to keep our heads down. Suddenly, the top of the door was gone, and my ears were ringing. There were splinters everywhere. 2 or 3 of them had just unloaded on the top of the door. I don't really know where it went after that. The police got there. I was still glued to what was left of the door. The sun was up before they preed me loose. Oh, pride. They put me in a hospital for a while where I was there. A whole lot of people talked to me, but I didn't respond. Not for a long, long time. When I got back home, I got a job for the landlord working on the farm. We didn't talk much, not about the thing, but I signed up for the army when I was 19. He sat me down to drink some scotch and send-off. I asked him right away what the police told him. The story they went with was a bunch of wild animal. But it was a wild animal, probably a wolf or maybe a bear that had migrated north. I asked him how they could say that when they had the hand. He looked at me stunned. He told me that the hand never made it back to the station. The cop had it in his car, got into a wreck, drove into a tree and died on impact. The hand was never found, likely taken by an animal. The cops, when they...
The whole, what's it called? Blaming it on an animal attack is what they did in Vampire Diaries. Every time, like, a vampire killed somebody.
I mean, that's smart, though.
Yeah, it is.
Cops, when they would acknowledge the hand existed at all, said it was simply the paw of a bear that reassembled a man's. I never talked to the landlord again. He went missing while I was in basic training and no one ever saw him again. There were rumors that he owed some people some money and skipped town, but I don't think it's that simple. As for me, I never went back to the woods. I wouldn't even if I had a goddamn U.S. Army at my back. That was the existence of my father who told me about this incident in the woods. There's just one problem, however. My father lied. When my mother died, I don't think my father felt he had anything left, and that he might as well sell old scores. He returned to the woods and never came back either. The FBI was called, and they came and put on a show for everyone involved, but I knew they weren't really looking. I had to get an agent drunk and slip him a few 50s before he finally told me that they got a few calls about the woods every year, but someone up and vanishing. But that was all he wanted to tell me before he got up and left with the rest of his team. He wrote the name they'd given the creature on the napkin. Of course, I didn't realize that's what it was at first. It wasn't until I put engine online and I understood what they meant. Honestly, I would rather not known. As it turns out, there are hundreds of stories just like my father's, as well as photos and drawings of the thing. And though the details vary, everyone who has encountered it agrees on one thing. It's still out there, and there isn't a man on earth that can stop it. I just got fucking... Oh my god, I'm gonna be thinking about this all night.
I wonder, what is it called?
Skinwalkers. Oh, they're fucking creepy, so.
Oh, wait, hold on, what's the movie?
I feel like there's something that could stop a skinwalker. Hold on. I know for a fact. I'm not looking at it.
That's what the skinwalkers look like?
Just believe and say yes.
These are dead-ass, like, strange motherfuckers.
Like, they're supernatural creatures. So basically, they originate from, like, the Cherokee Indian tribe.
Yeah, I was seeing, like, it looks
And,
like an Indian dressed as a...
they believe it's... I don't remember if they believe it's, like, a killed soul that they couldn't, like, bury properly or something, or, like, vengeance or something, or if it was, like, an animal that has been killed that was killed wrong, or, like, a demon or something. It was something along the lines of one of those. And it was just what they like seek revenge by just killing everyone. I think you could put a salt circle around you and you're okay. But
That picture freaked me out.
I know, right?
No, not even, like, it wasn't even the thing. It was, the thing didn't scare me. It was a picture of, like, a house, like an abandoned house. And there was just a chair just standing there, and it looked like, you know how many times I've talked about the purple room?
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of, like, on first glance. Like, that was
Oh,
just
heck
weirdly
no.
unsettling, just like, no thanks. Okay,
I think we should end stream early. I'm scared.
I'm gonna read another one. Wait, okay. Which one should I read? So this one is...
Whatever's short.
This one's 4 pages.
It works.
Okay. It was a nice summer day. My 5-year-old son James was playing outside in the backyard of a suburban home. James has always been a quiet boy. He likes to play by himself mostly. He never had many friends. But he always had a wild imagination. I was in the kitchen feeding our dog Fido when I heard what sounded like James talking to someone in the backyard. I'm not sure who he could be talking to. Could he finally have made a friend? Being a single mom, it's hard for me to always keep an eye on my son, so I decided to go check on him. This is already gonna be all forms of fucked up.
It's gonna be like The Shining.
As a kid who, like, was really into supernatural stuff and used to talk to, like, spirits, I already fucking know how this is gonna work.
I used to be able to see ghosts and scare everyone in my house because I'd be like, oh look, there's the ghost.
I had 3 ghost friends. And I didn't think anything of it until I found out one of them was actually real. So, that was fun. When I went into the backyard, I was a bit confused because James was the only person back there. Was he talking to himself? I could have sworn I heard another voice. James, it's about time to get inside. I called out to him. He came inside and sat down at the kitchen table. It was about lunchtime, so I decided to make him a turkey sandwich. James, who are you talking to out there? I asked. James looked up for a moment. I was playing with my new friend, he said, smiling. I poured him some milk and continued to pry, as any good mother would. Does your friend have a name? Why don't you ask him to have lunch with us? I asked. James stared at me for a moment before replying. His name is Laughing Jack. I was taken aback by what he had said. Oh, what a strange name. What does your friend look like? I asked, a bit confused. He's a clown. He has long hair and a big swirly cone nose.
No.
I'm not Googling what this one looks like.
No.
He has long
Clowns
arms
are a big no-no.
and baggy pants with stripy socks, and he always smiles. This is gonna freak me out. I realized my son was talking about an imaginary friend. I suppose it's normal for kids his age to have imaginary friends, especially when he has no real kids to play with. It's probably just a phase. The rest of the day went by as per usual. and it was starting to get late, so I put James to bed. I tucked him in, gave him a kiss, and made sure to turn on his nightlight before I closed the door. I was pretty tired myself, so I decided to go to bed not long after. I had an awful nightmare. It was dark. I was in some kind of rundown amusement park. Ew, 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 get out of there. I was scared, running through an endless field of empty tents, broken down rides, and abandoned game hunts. The whole place had a horrible look to it. Everything was black and white. The prized stuffed animals all hung from nooses in the game huts, all with sick grins stitched on their faces. This one gives you the creeps.
Oh, yeah.
It felt
That's how I feel with every scary thing.
It felt like a whole park was looking at me, even though there wasn't another living thing in sight. Then suddenly I began to hear music play. The sound of Pop Goes the Weasel being played on a squeeze box echoed through the park. It was hypnotizing. If I followed the tune to the circus tent, almost in a trance, unable to stop my legs from moving forward. It was pitch black, the only light that came from a single spotlight shining on the center of a big top. As I walked towards the light, the music slowed down, and I found myself singing along, unable to stop.
Fuck.
You know what this reminds me of a little bit?
What?
Black Butler.
Oh my god.
When what's his face?
The porcelain dolls.
Yeah, the porcelain dolls. When he starts singing London Bridge is Falling Down to lure little girls to be turned into dolls.
Yes. This is worse.
Okay. All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought twas all in fun. The music stopped right before its climax, and suddenly the light shot on. The intensity of the lights was practically binding. All I could see was a small, dark silhouette shuffle towards me. Then another one appeared, and another, and there were dozens of them, all coming towards me. I couldn't move. My legs were all frozen. All I could do was watch the haunting figure. Imagine just a bunch of thumbs like in Spy Kids.
Look in The Shining. Oh my god. My phone turned on and it scared me so bad.
Figures
Oh
drew
my
nearer.
god.
As they got closer, I could see they were children.
Oh, fuck no.
As I looked at each one, I noticed they were all horribly disfigured and mutilated. Some had cuts over their body, others were severely burnt, and others were missing limbs, even eyes. The children enveloped me, clawing at my flesh, dragging me to the ground and tearing inside me. As the children tore me apart, I faded away, all I could hear was laughter, horrible, evil laughter. I woke up that next morning in a cold sweat. That sucks. That's such a shitty nightmare. After taking a few deep breaths, I looked over and saw that a few of James' action figures were positioned facing me on the top of my nightstand. I sighed. James had probably woken up early and put these there. I gathered the toys and made my way up to James's room. Hell to the fucking no. I don't do good with dolls that move.
Laughing, what's his face is gonna be in the room. James isn't gonna be there and he's gonna be at the tent.
Oh no. I don't like this. Okay.
I don't like this. And I'm like too scared to move.
I know. I just shrugged and placed the toys back into his toy box and headed out into the living room. A little while later, James woke up and I made him breakfast. He was quiet and seemed a bit groggy. Perhaps he didn't sleep well either. I decided to ask him about the toys. James, honey, did you put the toys in Mommy's room this morning? His eyes shot up at me for a moment, and then he quickly glanced back at his cereal. Laughing Jack did it.
No!
I opened my eyes and responded, well, you tell Laughing Jack to keep the toys in your room. James nodded and finished up his breakfast and then decided to go play out in the backyard. I went to relax in the living room and I must have dozed off because I woke up a couple hours later. Shit, I need to check on James. I was a bit worried. It had been over 2 hours and I haven't checked on him. I stepped out into the backyard, but James wasn't there anymore. I was getting so nervous I called out to him, James! James! Where are you? Just then I heard a giggle come from the front yard. I rushed to the gate around to the front of the house. James was sitting on the sidewalk. Oh, thank God he's there. Okay.
Oh my God, no.
I breathed a sigh of relief and walked over to him. James, how many times have I told you to stay in the backyard? James, what are you eating? James looked up at me and reached into his pocket and pulled out a handful of hard candies in all colors. This made me nervous. James, who gave you all that candy? James just stared at me, not speaking. James, please tell Mommy where you got that candy. James hung his head down and said, Laughing Jack gave it to me. My heart sank. I kneeled down to him to look him in the eye. James, I've had enough of this damn Laughing Jack thing. He is not real. Now, this is a very serious situation and I need to know who gave you the candy. I could see my son's eyes tear up. But Mama, Laughing Jack did give me the candy. I closed my eyes and took in a deep breath. James has never lied to me, but what he's telling me is impossible. I make him spit out the candy and I throw the rest away. James appears to be fine. Maybe I'm just overreacting. After all, he could have gotten it from Tom and Linda from next door, or Mr. Walker down the street. Either way, I'm going to have to keep a closer eye on James. That night, I put James to bed as usual and decided to go to bed early myself. Ooh, stop it.
No, I can't.
If something bad happens to this kid, I'm gonna cry. I can't. Don't hurt babies.
I'm calling. He's gonna get kidnapped at the end or something.
They're annoying, but they're babies, okay? They're children. Don't hurt children. Fuckers.
I'm calling it. This kid's gonna get kidnapped by the end.
I'm calling
Laughing Jack.
Child Protective Services on these.
A fictional kid?
Yes, on a fictional kid. Yes.
I think they'd block your number.
Probably. Suddenly, I was woken up by a loud bang coming from the kitchen. I sprung out of bed and hurried down the stairs. When I got to the kitchen, I was horrified. Everything on the counters had been thrown on the floor, and our dog, Fido, hung dead from the light fixture. No, now I'm thinking about that happening with Char Char!
This is birth control at its finest.
I really love my puppy. I'm not happy. His stomach was cut open and stuffed with candy, the same type that James was eating earlier that day. My shock was quietly broken by a sharp scream coming from James's room, followed by loud crashes. I quickly grabbed a knife from the drawer and moved up the stairs with the speed that only a mother whose child is in danger could have.
Oh my God, I'm like...
through the door and flicked on the lights. Everything in the room was knocked over and tossed on the floor. My poor son in his bed, crying and shaking with fear, a pool of urine staining at the sheets. I scooped my child up and ran out of the house and went next door to Tom and Linda's house. Luckily, they were still awake. They let me use their phone, and I called the police. It didn't take them long to arrive, and I explained what had happened. They all looked at me as if I were crazy. They searched the house, but all they found was a dead dog and 2 trashed rooms. The officer told me that someone had probably gotten into the house and done this right before making a quick escape. When they heard me coming up the stairs, I knew it wasn't true. All the doors were locked and none of the windows were open. Whatever was in my house didn't come from outside.
No. Is that the end?
No.
Oh my God.
Kimmy just added to her story, and I just got a notification, and it scared me. Kimmy, you scared me. Okay.
I'm gonna have like an aneurysm.
Me too. The next day, James stayed inside. I didn't want to leave him out of my sight. I went into the garage and found his old baby monitor and set it up in his room if anything comes into it tonight. I was going to be able to hear it. I went into my kitchen and grabbed the largest knife from the drawer. I put it on my nightstand. Imaginary or not, I'm not letting anything hurt my little boy. Soon enough, night came. I put James to bed.
Oh my god, I'm like scared.
Me too.
Couldn't we have done a day version of this stream?
What?
Couldn't we have done a day version of this stream?
I know, right? Soon enough, the night came. I put James to bed, but he was afraid, but I promised him that I wasn't going to let anything happen to him. I tucked him in, gave him a kiss, and he turned on the nightlight. Before closing the door, I whispered to him, "Good night, James, I love you." Please don't let that be the last thing she says to him. I'll fucking die. I tried to stay up as long as I could, but after a few hours, I felt myself drifting off. My baby would be safe for the night, and I needed to sleep. Just as I lay my head on my pillow, I heard a soft noise coming from the baby monitor I had put on the nightstand. At first, it sounded like interference, like the kind of radio would make. Then it turned into a soft moan. Was James asleep? Then I heard it, the laugh from my nightmare, the horrible laugh.
No.
I don't like this.
Why do we torture ourselves?
It's almost done. I sprung up from the bed and grabbed the knife from under my pillow. I rushed over to James's room and creaked the door open. I tried the light switch, but it wouldn't come on. I took a step in, and I could feel the warm, thick liquid on my feet. Suddenly, James's nightlight came on. I could see the absolute horror laid out in front of me. No! They killed the child! James's body was nailed up on the wall, the nails piercing through his hands and feet. His chest was cut wide open, and his organs hung down to the floor. Fuck sleep. I didn't want it anyways. His chest was wide open and his organs hung to, I said that. His eyes and tongue had been removed, along with most of his teeth. What the fuck? I was disgusted. I could barely believe that this is my baby boy. Then I heard it again, the soft, desperate moan. James was still alive. My poor baby, in so much pain, barely clinging to life. I ran across the room and vomited on the floor, but my sickness was interrupted by a horrible cackle coming from behind me. I spun around.
No!
Scared the crap out of me! Don't just at me!
I'm knowing you!
Are you done? Are you done? Because I hope you know that you scared the absolute fucking crap out of me.
You're scaring me!
Well, you scared the shit out of me when you went, ah! You scared me.
Cackling is not a good laugh.
He spun around while still wiping the bile from my mouth, and then out of the shadows emerged the fiend responsible for all of this horror, Laughing Jack. His ghost white skin and matted black hair hung down to his shoulders. He had piercing white eyes surrounded by dark black rings. His twisted smile revealed a row of sharp, jagged teeth, jagged stone, and his skin didn't look like skin at all. It almost looked like rubber or plastic. He wore a patchy black and white clown outfit with striped sleeves and socks. His body itself was grotesque, his long arms hanging down past his waist like he was poised to make himself look almost boneless like a rag doll. He let out a sickening laugh as if to tell me to let me know he was pleased with my reaction to his work. He then turned around slowly in front of James and began to laugh even more at the horrible sight he had laid out. That was enough to shake me from my terror. I snapped, "Get away from him, you bastard!" I rushed at the monster, raising the knife above my head and stabbed down at him. But as soon as the knife touched him, he disappeared in a cloud of black smoke. The knife passed right through and pierced James's still beating heart, splashing the warm blood on my face. No. What have I done? My baby. I killed my baby. I immediately fell to my knees, and I could hear sirens in the distance growing louder. My boy. sweet baby boy. I promised Mommy would protect you, but I failed. I'm sorry, James. I'm so sorry. The police soon arrived to find me in front of my son, still wielding the knife covered in my baby's blood. The trial was short. Insanity. I was placed in the Viropolius house for the criminally insane, where I've been for the past 2 months. It's not so bad here. The only reason I'm awake now is because someone's playing Pop Goes the Weasel outside my window. I'll talk to the orderlies about it in the morning.
Fuck no.
So that was a thing. I'm not Googling what he looks like.
No.
I'm not doing it. Do you want to read another one, or do you want me to read another one?
I don't want to read any more.
I'll read this one.
I mean, I have a 3-minute one, so I can read that.
You can read that one, and then I'll read this one.
And we can end stream a little early, because I am going to need like a solid hour to go to bed at this point.
I want to read as many as I can, low-key. After that one, that was shit, but...
Can we try and find some happy... Can you try and find a happy story while I do this one?
I don't know any happy ones.
For some, I need a happy thing to fall asleep too.
I could do this story.
Okay, I'll do mine real quick. This one is called I Was Trapped in a Phone Booth. I'm currently attending a night course at a local college. It takes me 1 hour to walk back to my apartment, but I don't mind walking alone at night. It gives me time to clear my head after class. I've spent the past few weeks like this, walking down a long road, never having a reason to be on edge. What happened to me on one evening has caused me to change my route home. It was a weeknight, and I was walking down the usual street that leads me to my apartment. The sky was cloudy, and I could hear the sounds of thunder in the distance. The street was devoid of traffic, and there was not a single person within sight. I turned a sharp corner at the end of the road. That's when I first heard it, the sound of a ringing phone. At the end of the road, in front of an old-fashioned antique shop, was a vintage, time-worn phone booth. Is this where the ringing was coming from? As I got closer, I realized the phone inside was ringing. Why would someone be calling this phone at such a late hour? Curious, I stepped inside, closed the door, and picked up the phone. You do not pick up a random phone late at night. When I raised the phone to my ear, I heard a very faint breathing on the other end. Then the line abruptly disconnected. I hung up the phone, feeling confused and slightly creeped out. I figured someone was playing a prank on me. I gathered my bearings and was prepared to leave. That's when I first saw him. There was a figure in front of the antique shop. His back was to me. He was crouched down, looking down at the pavement. He was very skinny and long-limbed, and dressed in a worn, moth-eaten beige suit. He wore an oldish brown top hat over long, slick back black hair. When I saw him, I was instantly unnerved, and the hairs on my arms shot straight up. I did something I regret. I opened the door, leaned out, and asked the man if he was alright. What the fuck? Oh my god, I'm like having anxiety right now. He didn't answer back. He remained absolutely still. After what felt like an eternity, he turned around ever so slowly. His face was shrouded in shadow, looking directly at me. Something dreadful happened that still frightens me even now. He dropped on all fours and crawled towards the phone booth with unnatural speed. I frantically closed the door as he bashed the palms of his skeletal hands against the glass. While I desperately held the door closed. He fucking scared me. While I desperately held the door closed, he pressed his face against the glass. His eyes were milky white, staring right at me. His mouth was stretched in a broad, ear-to-ear smile. Oh my god, I think I know, like, what this is. Oh my god, no. His teeth were very long. That's to say if they were teeth, more like fangs. Skin was gray, pulled tight against the bones. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Of course, I didn't have my cell phone. My only option was to use the phone in the booth. It took an unbearable amount of time to dial 911 due to the phone processing the rotary dial. I raised the phone to my ear. The other end was silent. There wasn't even a dial tone. I attempted calling several more times to no avail. My heart sank as I hung up the phone. The man's smile grew, stretching across his face. My blood ran as cold as he began to laugh. He was mocking me. His laughter was muffled by the sound of thunder overhead. Then it started to rain. I could barely make out the man's silhouette as the street blackened in darkness. The occasional flash of lightning would reveal that he was just standing there glaring at me with swollen, colorless eyes. I waited for what felt like hours. When the storm passed, he wasn't there. It was as if he had never existed in the first place. When I finally gained the courage to run away, I heard a sound that nearly caused me to jump out of my skin. The phone was ringing. My hands were shaking as I hesitantly... Why did he pick up the phone again? When I raised the phone to my ear, I heard laughter on the other end. That same laughter. That's the end of the story.
I may or may not be looking at more photos of Toby Rogers.
The fuck?
He's kinda cute.
Oh
my god, there's a Toby Rogers Minecraft skin.
No.
Wait, oh my god, wait. I'm kind of obsessed with him.
Jesus.
He's kinda cute.
And the rest of the stream looking at Toby Rogers.
He's kinda cute. Okay, these other Toby Rogers are pissing me off.
Look at that, Dr. Toby Rogers. The second row, third picture at the end.
This one?
That's the real Toby Rogers.
Olive's gonna come down in her Sonya
Wait,
cosplay.
wait. In the second row, fourth picture, look at that.
Huh? This one?
Yes.
Yeah, I was looking at that actually. It's supposed to be Lyra.
No, what the fuck?
That's what Lyra looks like.
Oh my god.
Why is she also kind of pretty? In like an unsettling way.
Oh my god, do you have like a thing for dead people at this point? There's
No,
Wilbur, who's a ghost in the Minecraft
no,
SMP.
No. What?
Oh my
Are you gonna
god.
like come into the room, or are you just gonna be a creep?
I can't do scary stuff.
He's kind of hot. Leave me alone. Yes.
We need to not do scary stuff.
Come on.
I'm not doing any more scary stuff for the rest of the year at least.
Ah! I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
Computer's possessed. Guys. I need an adult to save us.
Okay, that was fucking creepy.
Put the headphones on. Put the headphones on. What the heck?
I dropped my. Hold on, I'll chill.
This is why we can't. This is why we can't do these stuff.
Ah! Oh my god!
You're not allowed to do creepy stuff for at least till I get my master's in college. 6 years of college, so no creepy stuff for 6 years. Love the stream to death, not doing any scary stuff. Not even during Halloween. Call me a sissy. Don't care. Don't care. The scariest thing I will watch is Rocky Horror Picture Show. Maybe Scary Movie 3. That's all I watch though.
So don't worry because you won't be embarrassed when
I am not doing scary stuff for at least 6 years. No one can convince me otherwise. The only exception would probably be
well, the thing is, you can rewatch streams, like, but they're not live, so that's what I'm scared of.
So he's kind of. Oh my god! Look at this one. That's so cute.
Taking this when I go because it's mine, not yours, loser.
Wait, Liv. Can you sleep with me tonight?
heck, I got no one to sleep with tonight. This sucks.
I read a creepypasta about child murdering.
I'd like to mention.
Okay. Have fun. Bye bye.
Why did we do this to ourselves? was telling chat that we are not doing any scary streams until I get my master's in college. That's 6 years of
You're the
no
one who suggested it,
scary.
actually, so I don't want to hear it. This is a Sims. This is a Sim. Tiki Toby Sim.
I was the one that suggested it, but now I'm suggesting that we don't do this anymore.
Wait, he looks like Wilbur here. He looks like Wilbur.
Oh my
This looks
god.
like it could be Wilbur.
Why don't you save the picture, tag Wilbur, and be like, Toby Rogers. What's interesting about this story, though? Isn't it called Ben Drowned?
Yeah, Ben drowned.
Who's Ben then?
What? In Ben drowned? You
Yeah.
want me to read that one?
No,
It's a long one. That's the only thing.
I don't want any more red. I just don't.
I kind of want to read another one, but I don't know.
Don't want to read another. You can read another alone.
Oh my god, family photo.
Them adding a Slender Man in the back.
I know, it's kind of funny.
What's up with his mouth?
I don't know. That's freaky. That's
Oh my
freaky. That's
god.
freaky. I don't like that. I didn't like that. I'm not scrolling back up. That was freaky. That's kind of cool.
Getting creepier as we go down.
That's really cute. Some of these are cute. Some of them are just. What is this?
Why'd you click on
It's
it?
funny. Yo, Jane the Killer, kind of sexy. Look at those big bitties. Big bitties.
The big bitties, you mean big, beautiful personality.
No, I mean those big old bitties. Oh my god, wait, that's so cool. It's a Monster High doll.
I don't get paid enough for
This
this.
looks like Wilbur.
That looks like Dream and Wilbur's like love child.
Wilbur's love child. Yes, it does.
Oh my god, I can't do this shit.
I am on my own.
We can just spend the rest. Oh my god. You can spend the rest of. You know, you should Google.
What?
You should Google our current celebrity crushes and just feel happy about the situation.
I'm just like, this is some of these.
Teletubby.
This looks like Georgetown found in like an
Really?
American way. It looks like an American Georgetown found trying to cosplay. I don't know how to explain that, but to me it looks like Georgetown. Red boob. I don't know why that's so funny to me. I have a wig like this, actually.
Oh my god, I've seen you in a wig like that.
Cosplays Tiki Toby. This looks like something I've watched in a Nightcore video before. Probably was. That's straight up hentai. The funny part is I have glasses like this too, but they're not tinted.
There's some of these just like the worst thing you could come up with.
That's kind of like oddly attractive.
Oh my god.
Tiki Toby.
I need to call my great aunt. She's a priest. There's a nun.
Bye bye. I knew it.
I just
Bye
need.
bye, baby blue. I wish you could see. Let's watch it. Oh, actually, I'm gonna get copyrighted. Never mind. Bye bye, baby blue. I wish you could see the wicked truth. Caught up in a marsh. Caught up in a rush. It's killing you. I found out the real lyrics before. Wait, was Is that Yandere Chan? Dead ass. It's Yandere Chan. I see you in yourself. Insert fanfics. It's fine. I'm not gonna make fun of you. Only a little bit.
So the person who makes fanfics.
Vic, look at this. Vic.
Oh my god. I need a priest.
Okay, I'm joining this fandom. Don't talk to me. I kind of have a crush on him. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it.
I have too long of a list.
I really don't want to talk about it. I'm saving all these photos onto my phone. This looks like Tubbo. I don't know how to explain it. Some of these photos, they either look like Wilbur or Tubbo to me. Or they look like something my friend Jack would draw of himself. Like, it's very weird, but this is definitely how I interpret Jack. Like, if Jack drew himself, this is what I would see him as.
We need help.
Do need help. You want to read it? I'm gonna read this for you, okay?
Oh my god, I don't want to read anymore.
It's called Go the Fuck to Sleep. The cats nestle close to their kittens. The lambs have laid down with the sheep. You're cozy and warm in your bed, my dear. Please go the fuck to sleep. The windows are dark in the town, child. The whales hurtle down in the deep. I'll read you one very last book if you swear you'll go the fuck to sleep. I'm gonna be a great parent when I grow up. The eagles who soar through the sky are just like the creatures who crawl, run, and creep. I know you're not thirsty. That's bullshit. Stop lying. Lay the fuck down, my darling, and sleep. The wind whispers soft through the grass, hun. The field mice, they make not a peep. It's been 38 minutes already. Jesus Christ, what the fuck? Go to sleep. All the nursery kids are in dreamland. The froggy has made his last leap. Hell no, you can't go to the bathroom. You know where you could go the fuck to sleep? The owls fly forth from the treetops. Through the air they soar and they sweep. A hot crimson rage fills my heart, love. Come on, shut the fuck up and sleep. The cubs and the lions are snoring, wrapped up in a big snuggly heap. How come you can do all this other great shit, but you can't lie the fuck down and sleep? The seeds slumber beneath the earth now, and the crops that the farmers will reap. No more questions, the interview's over. I've got 2 words for you, kid. Fucking sleep! The tiger reclines in the simmering jungle. A sparrow has silenced her cheep. Fuck your stuffed bear, I'm not getting you shit. Close your eyes, cut the crap, sleep. The flowers doze low in the meadows, and high on the mountain so steep. My life is a failure, I'm a terrible parent. Stop fucking with me, please, and sleep.
We need like an adult. What's that baby's face?
That's what my baby looks like.
That's what the baby probably looked like as he was hung.
Stop. Don't say that. No, baby hung. The giant belongments of Madagascar are snoozing, and as I lay here and openly weep. Sure, fine, whatever, I'll bring you some milk. Who the fuck cares? You're not going to sleep! The room is all I can remember. The furniture crappy and cheap. You win, you escape, you run down the hall as I nod and the fuck off and sleep. Bleary and dazed, I awaken to find your eyes shut as I tiptoe away and pray that you're fucking asleep. Or We're finally watching our movie. The popcorn's in their microwave. Beep! Oh shit. God damn it. You've got to be kidding me. Come on, go the fuck back to sleep. The end.
It was beautiful. Kind of asked for a better story.
So, Clockwork or Ben Drowned?
No!
I want to read one. Clockwork or Ben Drowned?
Which one's shorter? We only have like half an hour left of the stream.
Clockwork. Should I read that one? Okay. Oh yeah, hold on, I have to... Okay. A little girl sat in her room. Her messy brown hair was put into little pigtails. Her hazel eyes stared at the door. She hugged her stuffed giraffe close to her little body and listened closely to the loud yells of her father and mother. I never should have had any damn... Wait, hold on. I have to get in my inner parent. I never should have had any damn kids! Screamed a loud, deep voice. All they do is make messes, complain, and draw on the walls! He was interrupted by the shrill, angry yell of the girl's mother. They're children, David! They don't know any better! Oh, fuck me very bad! I don't want to hear your bullshit excuses! I've had enough of them! What do you plan to do about it? The girl heard loud footsteps coming towards her room as she hugged her draft closer. The door opened violently, and in the doorway stood her large, infuriated, overweight father. In one of his meaty hands, he held a large textbook. David, stop it! Screamed her mother. But the father ignored the wife's pleading cries. He grabbed the little girl harshly by the collar, and she screamed and kicked, trembling in fear. The girl's father held up the textbook. This is for drawing on my fucking walls, you little bitch! I'm very good at pretending to be a bad parent. I'm gonna be such a great mom. Years later, the little girl, known as Natalie, was now 9 years old. Going through the stage of puberty, she was naturally a little chubby. Like the usual, she sat in her room watching TV. She's such a mood, oh my god. Her dad was ranting on about some economic crap that she really could give a less shit about as she munched on some popcorn. She was also currently drawing a picture. There was a bit of gore in it, but strangely, she really liked drawing blood. Excuse me. It gave her some weird satisfaction. Other than that, multitasking was no problem for her. It became apparent to her at a young age, after having to do so much hard work and labor, that she was able to do so many things at once. I realized I had stream paused for an entirety of stream.
It was paused?
No, just on my side. Not like on that, but on for me.
Oh. Going ahead, we gotta try and make it through before stream has to end.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay. Where was I? Other than that, multitasking was no hard problem for her. It became apparent to her at a young age, after having to do so much hard work and labor, that she was able to do so many things at once. Drawing ended up being her talent and passion. It was her way of escaping from reality whenever something bad would happen, would rear its ugly head and peer in, or when she was really simply bored. She would hear the closing of a door and look to her left, pausing on munching her popcorn. There stood her brother Lucas, who was 4 years old. 14. Lucas, who was 14 years old. What is it? She can hear her father's yelling from out her door. Dad scaring you? He let out a chuckle. No way. I think we're both used to his yelling by now. There was a pause. So why are you in here? He played with his sleeve slightly and twitched a bit. I have to ask you something. He trained his eyes on her. She frowned slightly, growing impatient with her brother interrupting her movie and drawing. What? He moved a little closer. You said you wanted to be cool and grown up, like a teenager, right? She nodded and suddenly brightened up slightly. Well, I have an offer. Just spit it out, you dimwit! You know what? Hi. Guy on the bottom who looks like he promises. What? 12. So, basically, what we're doing is we're just, like, reading creepypastas. Vic is our co-host, the guy at the bottom.
I just look like I'm, like, just here as a
We were
supervisor.
reading something, and he got super fucking scared. I mean,
I
did
get
too,
so scared
but
easily.
he gets so easily terrified, so that's what's happening right now. Where was
I'm
I?
just trying to make it through the last half hour. I'm a little wuss. It's how it is. This was my idea, which was the sad part.
Yeah, it was his idea. He was like, we should do creepypastas. I'm like, okay.
Originally, I thought I was gonna find the original ones that inspired me to like want to do this, and I couldn't find them, so I had to look for original
My
ones.
foot fell asleep, and my sister's currently cosplaying Sonya Nevermind, so it's a great time. Alright. Oh damn, how old are you guys? I'm 17.
And I'm 18. I'm old.
Okay.
Continue reading.
Yes. Alright. You know what guys and girls do together sometimes, right? The next day at school, Natalie did not say a word. She did not speak for the whole day. She didn't have anyone to speak to anyways. Nobody could know, nobody should know, and so nobody would know. What the fuck? Her teacher picked up on a few of her puzzled expressions, but she dismissed it as if she didn't understand the lesson. Natalie also felt as if she was in severe pain. She had no idea it could hurt. Ew! Wait. They just said, LOL, that's my cue to leave. Girl on top, do you mean to you?
No. And why couldn't I get offered to DM? Hurt.
I think they're not into men.
I'm not into men either, but the offer would be nice.
Oh, wow.
And no one ever wants to hit on me. Except that one person who commented on a TikTok that I made. Got called sorta hot. Hey, let me find the comment.
I'm only hit on by gay men, so. Damn, guys can't have a break. Girls on top for everything.
Goes, person commented, okay, but why are you sorta hot with the simp emoji? The emoji that people call a simp, you know, the emoji. Like, I was so honored. That was the first time anyone's ever hit on me without me having to, like them back.
They just said guy on the bottom DM when you look like the girl on the top at 18. What the fuck?
Joke's on you, I'm hotter than her. So rude.
Dude, we know I'm the Regina George of our friend group. We don't have to really get into this. Okay.
This person rude as F for that.
Yeah,
No.
I don't really know what's happening. That was kind of weird. Not even gonna lie.
Oh wait, they meant the person. I thought they meant me. I was like, what the fuck?
No, I'm pretty sure they meant the person in the chat. Person on the
Thank you.
bottom, I'd kiss you as a homie.
I gotta put socks on though. I gotta put socks on
I
though
have
first.
socks on.
don't have socks on, so we can't kiss right now.
Okay. I'm not going to. Hold on. Remember that one stream where I went to go fix my chair and then I slammed my finger?
Yeah.
I almost did that again. So.
At least you didn't.
Yeah, at least I didn't. Okay. So I have a really bad feeling what just happened, so we're not gonna. Feeling scared, she walked home and silently went to her room. But later in the day, she once again was greeted by her brother. Nobody would know at school. She finally decided to tell someone, even though they weren't her friends. She just felt like she had to. She walked up to the girls and would occasionally see in the hallway. They looked nice, and they and Natalie had occasionally talked before.
It was how we don't need socks.
Oh my
Oh
god.
Hey, shoot.
Mia.
Sheesh.
The ginger girl looked over at Natalie with a straight face. Yeah? Mia said to Natalie. I really need to talk to you about something. It's been going on for a while, you and your friends. Well, I feel like you're the only people I can trust. Me and our friends seemed to pull little smirks, but only for a moment. Little did Natalie know that they were hungry for gossip. Alright, you could trust us, what's up? One day later was all it took. She'd been getting constant remarks on social networking sites, such as Facebook. One time someone even called her a whore. I've had that happen to me before, it wasn't fun.
This doesn't seem scary right now, it just seems messed up. What's with your theme of being messed up at the beginning?
Really fucked up. Because I'm fucked up, okay? This reminds me of you know who. Not to mention that their lunch had ended up getting in her hair. It was going to be the least of her problems, but Natalie being only 9. She was fucking 9? Could not help but be greatly upset at this fact. Who the fuck comes in? However, she did not cut, she did not peep, and she never said a word about it. As you may recall, so far in this journey, she had kept everything inside. She supposed it was better. She wouldn't let any pain get the best of her. That went dark. We're reading a creepypasta called Clockwork. I don't know what it is. I just googled it and I found it. But apparently, yeah, she was 9, so fucking bad.
Super spooky creepypasta. I want some pasta.
Wait, okay, pause for a second. So,
Pausing.
a couple nights ago, like last week, you remember how there was that China missile thing, right? Like the bomb, the missile.
Yeah.
The rocket.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Usually these start really fucking terrible and then they get creepy.
Yours did it.
Tiki Toby was he was severely bullied and he got into a car accident and his sister died and his dad was an alcoholic and an abusive motherfucker and then he killed him and murdered other people. So they gotta build up that shitty backstory first, You can't just be a shitty person just to be a shitty person, otherwise you won't empathize for the character or whatever, I don't know.
Oh my god, I don't get
write
people.
murder stories anymore. I used to. So anyways, back to the rocket thing that I was talking about. So my little siblings slept in my room, but one of them has meat cannon? Where do you fucking see meat cannon? Meat cannon? What?
Ooh, that sounds good. I'm really hungry.
What is a meat cannon? What?
He's just saying.
So Rocket. My siblings stayed with me because they were scared that it was gonna fall on our house, which was extremely unlikely, but you know, they're little kids. So they slept in my room with me in the basement, and, I mean, Shay left his shit down here. So, Shay sleepwalks, so at 3 o'clock in the morning that night, he woke up, and he walked out, and, like, I thought he was gonna come back, so I waited, like, a couple minutes, like, thinking, oh, maybe he just had to go to the bathroom or something, forgetting that he sleepwalks. And then he didn't come back, so I went upstairs, and he literally disappeared. So then I found out the next morning that what happened was he sleptwalked his way into our other sister's room upstairs. She's younger than me, but she's older than him. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we don't need the motherfucker. It's like fell in my
He's
own
not
bed.
here today, so I don't have to. He usually doesn't sleepwalk downstairs, but sometimes he'll
Not that wording was very
What?
Where you went, he's not here with us today.
Oh no.
Still alive.
He's alive. He's just at his dad's house. Cool. Okay.
I can't believe that guy didn't want to hit me up too.
You don't need men. They're just appointments most of the time.
Or women sometimes.
Meat Cannon is a creepy motherfucker for the animations. Ruined my childhood. Aw. Sorry, dude. You're a dude.
We all have that one thing that ruins our childhood.
Okay. Not all men, just like most Libra men. If you say you're a Libra,
I'm a Libra.
no, you're not.
No.
You're
But you
just-
said you're a Libra.
I'm no piece of shit.
I bet he is a like Capricorn. Oh my god, a Pisces! Pisces was like number 1 or number 2 on my zodiac list. Speaking of which, if you want to see our zodiac
It's on my channel.
episode of the podcast, it's on Chip's channel, YouTube channel.
Pisces is better than Libra. You're in the okay.
Oh, Pisces is really high on the list, so like
My
you're
puppy's
good.
a Pisces. He's really cute.
My moon sign and my rising sign are Pisces, so
Wanna look at
like.
my puppy? Hold on, wait. I'll show you. Oh wait, I don't have a picture. Idea.
I think we should go to bed.
We've got a couple minutes. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish the story.
No, probably not.
It's fine.
No, that's completely fine.
There's a reason not to put Sparius on the tube line. There's a reason not to put Sparius on the
I
road.
wanna watch Bob's Burgers as I fall asleep.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna show you guys a photo
I
of
wanna watch
Wait, I'll show you.
Burgers as I fall asleep.
This is. I just got added in something. Hold on. This is my puppy.
Ba-ba-da-da-da-da.
My puppy. His name is Charles. He is the cutest puppy known to man, and if anyone says otherwise, I am beating you with a stick. So yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh my god, the photo.
He's so cute, my little char-char. Little char-char.
Charlie, Charlie, yes, Papa.
My sister sings. No, not my sister. Damn. Wrong kid. Lily sings that too.
Yo, the group chat's like blowing up. Someone made a cake.
Oh, that's nice. Should I
Oh my god,
continue to
I
read
might go
it,
get
or
food
should
after
I?
this.
No, I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it.
Probably not.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, I read 2 of the 4 that I had.
I read 2 of the 3, but I didn't even want to read the 3.
Some of these are really long. I don't know. I found them on creepypastas.com. It's literally a website, deadass.
Oh, for a Discord, if you want to
Yeah,
join,
you can send yours.
yeah, I will put, you can go to my Twitch channel, Cold3000, and in the About section, there is a link to my Discord, and you will be able to get notifications for not just my streams, but when the BBC podcast is live. So that's fun. Yes, I will put in chat, yeah, that's the title of this, what this podcast is called, The Bad Bitch
Yeah.
Society, BBC.
It's a dirty joke that we need to cover up by making it a not so dirty joke so that my parents, I can easily lie and say that I didn't. No, that was a dirty joke.
Like, what do you mean BBC? The British Broadcasting Center?
Yeah. I'm
What?
British.
Me in it.
There's a reason. London puts barriers on the 2 point. My best friend became a murderer. Oh my god, singing.
Oh my god.
Imagine. I know that, like, Jordan would be a pretty good
Thank you for
murderer.
the follow.
Jordan would be a pretty good
Oh.
murderer. Let's be real.
I feel like Jordan has murdered somehow.
Probably. I
Whether it's emotionally or physically.
wouldn't be surprised. I know there's a couple people that are dead to me. One of them I see constantly, but she runs away every time she sees me. She's terrified of me. It's kind of funny. Beacon, that's a place in Ruby. These are all the different ones. These are kind of cool, actually. I might just genuinely read these, like, after this. Not, like, tonight, but, like...
I was gonna say, you're like a fool if you read it tonight.
Chelsea, Chelsea, I believe in your dancing slowly, sucking your sleeve. The boys get lonely after you leave. It's one for the dagger and another for the one you believe. Sorry.
Is that a song for the Creepypasta? Oh my god. That happened. Cool.
What just dropped?
Laundry basket that I like balance the laptop on usually.
I found the stream because I had music on my musician on my tags. I did? That's so weird. Wait, what? I'm so confused. I have musician on here?
It might have just been on one of the tags because of your lo-fi music.
Oh, maybe.
Or your white noise, I
I
don't
mean,
remember.
I do sing. But... Static. I'm listening to Static
Maybe.
right now. Deadass. I've been listening to Static this entire time.
You want me to be static? I'll be static.
You're
That's more like a
musician as well?
dolphin.
That's so cool.
Hey, what kind of music do you do? Like, there's all different kinds. We know a handful of musicians, and we're so proud of almost all of them.
Almost all of them.
Almost all of them.
Almost. There's
Almost.
most.
all of them, but most of them.
What you know about rolling down in the deep? Sorry.
Maybe it's anything. Well, that's still cool. Do you play any instruments? Because I'm not exactly a musician the way I used to be anymore. I can play the trumpet and the French horn. I could probably learn baritone horn in like a day. The basics of one, and then just go off from there.
Wasn't as abandoned as I thought.
What? Ooh, guitar. That's dope.
Oh, that's cool. I tried guitar. I couldn't do it. Allie
Friend
tried to
doing
teach
this
me
for-
today. We were in Qatar, and she looks at me and she goes, "Do you want to learn guitar?" And I'm like, "I tried before. I can't play." And she was like, "I could teach you," and I was like, "I can't play guitar." It's not
Jordan's learning guitar, I think, right now.
Well, she also plays the bass, so she could do it. It's
I like
probably
how
the same thing.
Valley did that. I feel like she is so pushy when she learns the subject, which, like, you know, kudos to her.
Who? Jordan or Allie?
Allie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, I think she's played the guitar for maybe, like, 2 or 3 months. And, you know, now she feels like she could teach people, but, like, you know, if she really can, then, like, kudos to her.
Yeah. But I do post meme-like songs, and I'll release shit if I'm serious about it. That's cool.
I like that.
You know what
I did a mashup today in my music class, so I was bored.
I want to ask Jordan if Liam can produce
Your project?
No. If Liam can produce an album with me.
Oh my god, that would be so
I
nice.
want Jordan to play bass on it, like 100% for sure. But
About Ryan and his 32 mixers.
Ryan and his 32. No, it was
32 channels.
16
outputs.
output mixers. Fucking can't. Think about
What do you think about streaming?
Should
Go
stream.
for
It's
it.
so much fun.
It's so fun.
It's really fun. I love how these are all Halloween themed. It's really cute. Are you an official producer? No. I can't.
We'd be mediocre producers.
I cannot produce. I tried. I can't. I have. And then when I walk out of the classroom today, my teacher goes, "I'm expecting big things from you." I'm like, I put a little reverb on it.
He said he's expecting big things? Like what?
I don't know, but all I did was put reverb on it, so.
Oh my god. I think I did like 2 things to it to make it sound different, to be like, I tried.
I don't know what else to add.
Like,
I literally go to Jordan,
you-
I'm like, what do I do? She's like, EQ it. I'm like, how do I EQ it?
You need to like make an album. Like your music is so good.
Thank you. I was talking to Jordan the other day, and she was telling me about how she's like making an album, and the way she's doing it is she's writing down different titles first, and then she's making songs based on the titles. So I'm like, I put together all the, like, I want to put together the songs. Okay, so I rewire this in my brain a little bit better. Hold on, I'm going to close out of this tab. Just.
I do that with I did that with my Truth project.
Basically, my songs I made, like, for Caution, I originally put together, like, okay, these are the songs that I want to do, but I did it, like, a really long time ago before I made new songs that I like better than those old ones. So I'm thinking, okay, I want to go back in, and I want to change songs, like, take in and take out certain songs and put them into Caution, and then maybe put some of them into a new album. And I was thinking about, like, what I would want to do for song titles, like Jordan has on hers. So I made a list of new ones. Also, I was writing a song today. So I have second album ideas, and I literally just have names of, like, things I want to, like, song titles that I want to write. Some of these I started writing, some of these are finished, some of these I haven't written at all. So I have oranges and cinnamon, in parentheses, I hate it. Shapeshifter, sincerely Soph, spiritual connection, teenage anxiety, and vintage so far. I was writing vintage today. You want to guess who that's about?
I think I know.
Who?
Does it start with an L?
No.
D?
A what?
D?
No. Why would I write about him?
I don't know. An M?
An M?
What was the title again?
Huh?
What was the title again?
Vintage.
Vintage. Start with an M.
It's not a good thing.
Oh. K.
Yes.
Yay!
There you go. You got it this time.
It only took every letter that I knew of.
It took every letter in my alphabet. Small connection.
I think I was closer with the L's.
You were closer with the L's, yeah. I was like, why would I write about D? Why? Me and Jordan were talking about that. Oh my god. That's so funny. How do I convince my sister who's in full cosplay to come downstairs? Okay, so we have 3 minutes left of the podcast for tonight. So I just wanted to say thank you everyone who came on here and stuck with us.
Because we are not that exciting.
And to everyone who is watching the VOD right now, like after I post it or whatever.
We are sorry
did you
if
get
we scared
spooked?
you.
Did you get spookied?
I got spooked and my mindset is so much better, but I might still have a
I'm
nightmare.
just gonna read Bridgerton before bed like usual and then deal with it.
I'm gonna talk in the
So
group
I
chat
can
that
think
we are
about
in.
sexy British men instead. I really like Bridgerton. It's such a good book series. If you guys
Someone in our group
like-
chat is in a TV show,
What?
YouTube series.
What? Who? What? What? What?
Look in the Snapchat thing when we end the podcast.
Hold on, I'm looking right now.
This is gonna be sick.
The L name?
Yeah.
He was snapping me privately earlier.
Yeah, me too. He seems chill though.
Okay. I'm glad to know it wasn't just me. So first, I
Is-
was like very awkward because I don't know how to talk to people.
Everyone's awkward. Guys, here's a quick way to end the podcast. Ready? You can be the most awkward person on earth, but there's always someone just as awkward as you. That's called your soulmate or your best friend.
Yeah. Me and Jordan, we were in gym yesterday, and we had to get not yesterday. This is Monday actually. I lied. We had to get a ball to play box ball, and I turned to her and I go, "You gotta get the ball." She goes, "Can you get it?" I'm like, "You're going to a different state. You're gonna be all by yourself for college. No one's gonna be there to tell you." She goes, "You're right, but why can't you get it?" I'm like, "Cause I also have really bad anxiety too."
Do you know what she's gonna do? She's gonna call one of us and be like,
She's gonna
"Help
call
me."
me, and I'm gonna be like, "I
Can
can't
you
do
fly
it.
here
I
to
can
do my
barely
own
do it. I
food?
can barely order my own food."
Oh my god.
Okay, anyways, thank you guys for coming to the podcast. We'll see you guys next Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard
Bye
Time.
bye.